Folks, we've just arrived at the Santa Cruz Guitar Company booth, and they have pulled out all the stops this year. We're going to take a close look at one of the 4 just unveiled Vault Series guitars from Santa Cruz. This represents literally the highest end, most detailed instruments that they have ever built, using materials that Richard Hoover has had the opportunity to collect over his long career. This is the H-13 that we will be bringing home with us from NAMM. You can see all the incredible gold inlay. This is a San Lorenzo Sinker Redwood top, just beautiful natural coloration there. Got gold awabi inlay all around the top, all around the side panels, all around the back. It's difficult to get the appreciation of the figure in this case, but this is a beautifully quilted set of Ancient Kauri. And if you follow our channel, you'll know that we just got in one of our very first Ancient Kauri guitars not too long ago, and it left us floored. So we're really excited to get this guitar in the shop as well. The jewel in the headstock is one of the coolest. You can see this window, and yes, that goes all the way through the headstock, and suspended is a natural ruby in the center of the headstock. Absolutely shockingly awesome. And if you look closely, the gold inlay itself that's sort of hovering around that ruby creates an SC for Santa Cruz. Doesn't get much better than that. Folks, we have reached the private green room at the Santa Cruz Guitar Company booth here at NAMM 2024, and sitting with me is my good friend Mr. Richard Hoover. And Richard, how's the NAMM show been treating you thus far?
You know, this is a delight. It's grueling. It takes painful preparation. It's stressful, but once we get here, it's a blast. Yeah. Right. And you know, the real treasure is the friendships, the relationships, and some of my good friends I only see here once a year, including you sometimes. So, thank you.
Well, the acoustic guitar world has been a bit abuzz around your Vault Series guitar unveiling, and you've brought 4 with you, and we've been lucky enough to be able to reserve one of the 4, the H-13 Vault guitar. Can you tell us about the guitar, maybe a little bit about the inspiration and how it just came to be what it is?
I'm happy to. Before I forget, you got my favorite. You did.
Beautiful.
Both, you know, the H-13 model is just it's really a pretty classic design. It's super versatile, and it'd be my personal choice. So, you know, the idea is, and I've been a guitar maker for all my adult life, and I've had the opportunity to network, meet families that deal in really rare woods, really special woods, and have had the chance to handle some exceptional pieces with a subset within that. And enough of them that I've found that were like, this is too good to use, I'll save it till later. And then looking at me, you realize it's later. So the idea is to start working through this vault, this archive and library of guitars, and doing a few each year that are out of woods that are not only exceptional, but very likely unobtainable today because of scarcities, costs, and things like that. So the one you get is a beautiful example of reclamation. And I'll add here that everything we build with is either reclaimed, sustainable, or somehow responsibly harvested. We don't cut from living trees. The advantage of that is not only doing the right thing, but old wood sounds better.
Yeah.
it's actually one of the biggest secrets why old guitars and violins sound better than new ones, is the increased resonance of the wood as it ages. So your guitar is, the back and sides are Kauri from New Zealand, and it actually, this wood is the product that belongs to the Aboriginal people, the Maori, and this particular wood is ancient. And the story is part oral tradition, part scientific speculation, and part just what there's no other explanation, that the two tectonic plates near New Zealand would have like scratched over each other and created a catastrophe, tsunami, earthquake, volcano, and this forest of kauri tree, or the stand of kauri trees, was buried instantly. They're huge trees about the size of our sequoia, and over millennia, they kind of worked their way to the surface, and some of these have been found kind of poking through the ground, and they've been carbon dated at 45,000 years old, which really ruins our record setting for old using old wood. But it's spooky beautiful. It's very deep in its luster and its flame. As you catch it in the light, sometimes it makes you jump because it looks like a hologram.
Yeah, right.
And it's really it's challenging to work with, but it's also super fulfilling. And I truly don't know where we'd get it again if we wanted to. So that alone is it's a very cool piece of wood, but it's also part of the beautiful story of not only doing the right thing in reclamation, but that you can use old wood to make the best stuff in the world, right? And in fact, it's an advantage. The top to that guitar is redwood, and we can determine a couple things by the end of the log. This let's start here, probably 15 to 2,000 years old as a living tree, and it would have fallen from old age, lightning, wind, and tumbled into the river, probably 15 miles or so up from our shop, up the river. And it would have gotten lodged in the big glacial boulders there, and it stayed there for somewhere between 300 and 600 years. And that's based on the decay at the end of the log and how much was eroded, and in the ring counts where we get the age of the living tree. So that stayed there happily forever. Redwood's super durable. Its resistance to insects and decay, and a low oxygen environment, it was preserved. So it stayed put, didn't fossilize, petrify, it just got better. So in the early 2000s, we had a 1,000-year storm, which, by the way, we had two of since. 1,000-year storm. And it dislodged this tree. It tumbled all those miles down the river out to sea, and it took a while before that would come back up and wash up on the beach in Santa Cruz. And it's a pretty mammoth tree trunk. So it's taken about, I knew about this, and it's taken about 5 years to be able to negotiate the acquisition, and also just the process of drying it slowly, keeping its integrity is science in itself. So 5 years later, we're ready to use it. And as you look at that, the cellular structure of the tree, as it took in moisture from the river, also took in minerals that both color it and give it a sparkle. And it's really like kind of a rainbow effect.
Iridescent. Yeah. Incredible.
And look, I got a wood problem, so we're going to go deep here. The tree grows like a bundle of soda straws, and between they're called medullary rays that transfer nutrition back and forth. And if we look at the end of the tree, the grain's like a bullseye in the annual rings. We want the section from the middle out to the edge where the rings run straight up and down through there for quarter saw and vertical grain for strength. And if it's cut just right, it exposes those medullary rays, and that's that sparkle that you see in there. Now, just because it's straight grain doesn't mean that'll show. Each cut that you make you have to tilt and kind of follow and chase it through to get that beauty. So it's really artisanal cutting to do that, and it's not a boast. It's more of a expression of respect for how remarkable this is if you take the time to really bring out the magic in it. So not only is that wood beautiful, a great story, but that redwood's some of the nicest tone wood we've ever had. The age allows the resins to polymerize, become like crystal, but the living tree itself had the properties we're looking for. It's really stiff across the grain, very stiff end to end, and really, really resiny. And then we go on. With those woods being so unobtainable, it demanded all the respect we could give it by dressing that guitar up.
Well, we're always, as a shop, we're always so excited when we hear, hey, Richard found some new wood, because we know that whatever that, precious material is, it will be found to its fullest potential in your hands, and that's what we're so excited about.
That's the right thing to do. So we did, in honor of the tradition of the Kauri, and here's a good place to bust a myth. Aboriginal peoples, sometimes people think they worship nature like they worship a tree or whatever. Nah, they knew where their bread was buttered. They understood there was a creator, but these materials represented the miracle of life, the miracle of regeneration, and so they revered them, and they used them in their spiritual practices to have a conscious contact with God. So they're not gods, the trees, but they're really important in their traditions. So in respect for that, the inlay and the little fern on the heel cap is part of their iconography with that. And we did that inlay in gold. And it wasn't just to show off, we put expensive stuff on there. It's the right color, texture, feel to complement that gold and pretty wood. And we did, stylized logo on the peg head. If you look closely, you'll kind of see an S and a C in there, in that little filigree of gold. And in the very, very center, we made a little faux ivory window that goes all the way through the peg, and there's a ruby suspended in there that looks like it's floating in there. I should pause here and just go, wow, that's a lot. We used a shell and kind of that we call it the 45 style in honor of Martin's abalone around the chop, rosette, into the fingerboard, heel of the neck, tail strip, backside, everything. But in the theme of sustainability and responsible harvest, this is a wabi, which is farmed, and it's farmed for the protein, but the shell's a byproduct, and it's very much like abalone, but it's not so gaudy. It's not that
very.
It looks more refined.
Yeah.
Right? Now abalone is beautiful, but it's so much. When you put it on something, it's loud.
Yeah.
Right. And again, design-wise, this is in keeping with the flow of that instrument. And personally, I really think it's cohesive in it.
Yeah.
I grew up with a father that was a commercial artist back in the days when every store had a boxed-in window, and they did little vignettes in there for the holidays. So he worked in glass, metal, wood, and he was classically trained in design. So I didn't get to do anything without a critique about proportion, design. So I'm always really sweating the detail in something like this. If you're going to do that, you better do this to complement it. So
nice.
I want to say this in all sincerity. It couldn't have gone to a better place. You guys treat us so well, and you get it. We're not just making pretty guitars or excellent guitars even, but guitars are the vehicle for what we're doing. Our mission is really to make the world a better place through what we do, through music, and our ethics and the way we do business. And you're the perfect partner for that.
Well, I really appreciate that. We love being part of your family, and just thankful to be a part of it. So, and we are awfully excited about that guitar as well, and awfully excited for just what this unveiling means for the future of more Vault Series instruments. So,
Yeah, that's it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a chance to. It's a real teachable moment, for people to look at that guitar, and almost no one is like, "Are you out of your mind charging much for a guitar?" It's like the story behind that's very profound, but also like, well, go get another piece of that, at any price. That's a big deal. So we're having a blast. I hope you really get some fulfillment out of showing it to your customers.
I can't wait to see who ends up with it, to be honest with you, and I'll be jealous of whoever it is for eternity.
Yeah. By the way, it's a beautiful sounding guitar. It really is.
We had the pleasure of hearing Eric Sky play it a little bit last night, and yes, it will be fully satisfactory whoever might touch it.
You're right. Eric has one of the most consistent, pristine tone control of anybody. It really brings the best out of that.
Richard, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
You bet. Thank you.